electric Cablevision.
Get over the hump day, because The View is live. Now hear this.
Laurel.
Is he saying Yanny or Laurel? The audio illusion that has the internet divided.
Laurel.
What do the co-hosts hear? Taking the low road?
The Michael Williams deportation bust.
The Georgia Republican's shocking ad some are calling political hate speech. A 6-year-old hero battling severe health issues is getting a superstar surprise from an icon who's coming to The View for the very first time. Hot Topics are in the house with Whoopi, Sarah Haynes, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Megan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
As if the country needs another thing to be divided about. There's a raging debate on the internet over what word is being said on an audio file. Is it Yanny or Laurel? Take a listen.
Laurel.
Okay, what do you hear?
Laurel.
What do you hear?
Yummy with 2 M's.
What do you hear?
Pizza. I hear Laurel.
That's so odd. I hear Yanny.
Me too.
I hear Laurel.
How many people heard?
Yanny
How many people heard Yanny?
With 2 M's.
No M's.
No, just raise your hands.
Just raise your
hands. Everybody who heard Yanny. Okay, you don't have to clap.
The minority.
How many people heard Laurel?
Wow.
Interesting.
You will
survive.
Well, I did this last night with my husband, and he heard Laurel, and I was like, who are you? I don't hear that. But it does say that younger people are more likely to hear Yanny.
That's you.
Yeah, well, you ought to be looking over here.
We heard it. I don't know about everyone else.
Do you really hear Yanny?
Yeah. I mean, play it one more time, can you?
Laurel.
This morning,
I hear it
both
clear as
Max
day,
and I heard
Yanny.
Yanny, and I replied to the email list we had going and said, who hears Laurel? Then I got to work, I played it, and all I could hear was Laurel.
Oh, I didn't
It's
hear
really weird.
Yeah.
I don't
Well, they
hear it
say
at all.
that people are hearing much different things when it comes to politics, too.
Good segue.
Thank you.
Good one.
And that a new poll found that most people think they're being respectful about their own political opinions, but don't think the opposing side does the same. So is there any way to get back to basic civility in the conversation?
I wish. I mean, I think that our system of American democracy depends on it. But there's been this real, I don't know, butting of heads between free expression and civility. And I hope that we can get back to being civilized and being kind and listening.
It's hard to be civil when there's an attack on the press every day. They're messing up the water. They're polluting our cities with this guy Pruitt, which we'll get to later. There are people doing terrible things. This thing he did in Israel is making people crazy. I mean, it's hard to be civil when you feel like the whole democracy is falling apart in front of you.
There was an amazing article written by Brett Stevens in the New York Times. It was an op-ed about the death, I think I get the title right, The Death of Disagreement. And it was such a fascinating article saying there was a time, and when you think of Aristotle, Socrates, how when they didn't understand, they asked a question. They leaned in to truly understand. It says that these days we base our differences often on just miscommunication. We don't actually understand each other.
Right.
And it says
We read the news, we watch the news.
But it says there was a time where rather than waiting to tell you why I don't agree with you, I actually tried to lean in to understand why you feel the way you do. It says you should understand someone so much that you could spit out their argument.
Yes.
But we don't do that anymore.
We don't do it.
I could spit out their argument.
It's the dying art of disagreement.
I could spin out
love
their
Brett
argument.
Stevens.
Someday you and I will reverse
We-
roles.
we wanna do
And I
this.
will be a Trump voter, and you can be a Democrat.
she wasn't a Trump
voter. She wasn't a
but
Trump
I can do it
voter.
anyway.
I'll
pretend.
I
Yeah.
do want to have a show one day where we do a role reversal.
Yeah.
Just I think that would be really funny. Listen, this is like a really hard time for me in general. I'm feeling even this morning when we were having our meeting, I felt like I was just spouting pessimistic energy at all of you, and I don't mean to do that. I am normally a very social person. I like people. My father's a politician. I don't want to go out to eat to dinner anymore. I don't want to be in public. I don't want to be around anyone I'm not really close to.
We haven't been drinking bourbon
We haven't been
together.
drinking bourbon. You can bring it to my dressing room. We can be in here. But it's a really odd feeling to feel like we are in such a divisive part of the country. I don't know where you stand politically on my father's cancer. So I'm paranoid about going out to dinner. And I think that it's something I was talking to my husband about, that like, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like someone who like doesn't want to socialize. But like, if I ever thought in America I would get to a place where I don't want to, and I don't mean to depress the whole room. It's just the personal place I'm at right now.
I think
We're
you're
on a
not.
talk
I don't
show.
think you're
A lot of
alone on
people,
this. I think
yeah.
there's a lot of folks who kind of feel like, what the.
Yeah.
What is this? Because people are just finding that, you see it when people are driving in cars. People are enraged. It takes this much time to get people to this spot. And part of it is some of the things that we're hearing. And I say that because we're heading towards a story that I think really sort of makes understandable why people just feel like, really, you got to do it? Really? You have to do it like that? You couldn't just say this? So we'll get to it. But Twitter says they're doing their part to keep things civil with a new filter that will hide you from seeing bad tweets on your feed. But does hiding them solve the bigger problem?
So I can't see them, but they're still there?
They're still
Apparently,
there.
I didn't understand it myself.
Well, if Twitter doesn't do it, I do it. I'm a blocker. If
I
someone
am
has negative energy to share and they don't have productive language,
Yeah. I mean, I think what Twitter wants to do now is sort of move the offensive content into another place, and you can't click on it unless you click on see more replies. So it sort of moves it down so that you can't see it and then others can't see it as well. I don't know that that's the answer. I mean, I'm, of course, a supporter of free speech, but when people are trolling and people are being that negative, there should be some consequences. And why can't Twitter just take it down?
So
why can't they just take it down?
I'm a huge free speech person, as I think
Yeah.
everyone on this show is. But I will say that, like, even last night I went home and, like, there are some tweets that I don't even know if I should repeat what was said because there's no point. But there are things that I have reported quite a few people to Twitter in the past few days.
Right.
I am not a snowflake. I'm not someone I'm super sensitive towards things. There are things that I would consider to be at least harassment, borderlining on being violent. Twitter, doesn't care. This is within our terms of use. And I just keep thinking, what if I were younger and I hadn't been doing this for over 10 years?
Yeah.
What if you're a kid in high school? We have a serious suicide problem with kids and cyberbullying, and at some point, somebody on Twitter and social media is going to have to take the forefront on this. We're not talking about First Amendment infringement of free speech.
no.
We're talking about just
Bullying and harassment.
Yeah,
Well, you know
bullying
what?
and harassment.
I think what would really be helpful for people is if they looked at it like this. There are certain things that we know as a society we're not going to do. You're not going to walk into a theater and yell fire.
Yes.
You're not going to do that because you know that's going to panic people. It could start all kinds
it's
of
against
things.
the law.
There are certain things that we all, as a society, say, no, we're not going to do that. And I think we have to start rebuilding those things. There's certain things that we're not going to do. You can make your point, but you don't have to do X, Y, Z. And when we come back, I'll explain what X, Y, Z is and see what you think of this. Because I think it's a little frustrating, and maybe it'll frustrate you as well. We'll be right back.
Still ahead, the Hate Talk Express? Why critics call a Georgia Republican's campaign ad a new low. If you are in the white-hot center of the news, this is where you come to voice your view.
Character matters. Truth-telling matters.
Women are not going to be silenced. They're not going to be intimidated. They are going to speak their truth.
Because this is the only place in daytime
This is the interview that meant the most to my wife, so thanks for...
taking on the newsmakers.
What I do for a job doesn't impact my ability to know right from wrong or to tell the truth.
We're The View.
I take such pride in the idea that the president watches our show.
He sure watches
I
the
watch our show.
On ABC. Still ahead, a superstar is surprising a little hero to help make his dream come true.
So welcome back. We were talking about civility in politics before, which is noticeably absent in State Senator Michael Williams' campaign ad for governor.
We have our bus tour ready to go, but it's not going to be one of those pansy political bus tours. We've got the deportation bus. We're going to implement my 287G deportation plan that's going to fill this bus with illegals to send them back to where they came from. We're not just going to track them and watch them roam around our state. We're going to put them on this bus and send them home. If you're as tired as I am with politicians that do nothing but talk, and you want to see this bus filled with illegals, vote Michael Williams on May 22nd.
So when these are the things that make me uncivil. These are the things that make me berserk. Because you can say, listen, this is how I feel. But this is like, it's meant to make you crazy. And for me, it's like looking at this through a kid's eyes.
Oh, it's scary.
You know, it's to me, I wouldn't want anybody doing that to a child. You know, I don't want somebody thinking that their mom or dad is a molester. And by the way, you might want to look up the spelling.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's just ORS. I mean, but are these the kinds of things that you think are making people slightly, making it impossible to have a conversation?
Because it's the opposite of reality. I mean, immigration is trending downward right now. There are fewer immigrants coming here than they used to come. This guy, by the way, is polling at 3%. Maybe he should get an ice
Say
cream
that again
truck
in
or
last
an ice
place.
cream bus or something instead of what he's
He's
doing.
in last
Because
place.
he has 3% popularity, this idiot. So,
Which, by the way, is statistically could be at -2 because there's a 5% margin of
There you
error.
go.
So you could be at -2%, my
I'm
friend.
just saying, is he going to get
And that's a good thing because that means his message isn't resonating with the majority of folks in Georgia. I think that's a really, really good thing.
But fear mongering is also leaving the conversation. So if you wanted to make good points about sanctuary cities or immigration, there are talking points we could all sit here and meet out. When you go to rapists, murderers, and misspelled molesters, you've now gone to a base level that we can no longer talk with you, which is part of the division.
Desperate candidates always have to pull publicity stunts, and some people stay very local and don't win for a reason because you can't come up with anything more interesting to talk about your point.
It's a PR stunt on the backs of
other people.
It's disgusting.
who are
It's
suffering
disgusting.
and being rounded up as we sit
I'm
here.
not, of course I couldn't defend something like this, but I just think like desperate people who want to make a name for themselves in like far alt-right places will go to desperate measures. Now we're talking about it on The View. So, you know, I mean, whatever.
What?
But
Say that again?
just that you want to get publicity in any way you can if you're desperate and you're crazy.
But is that the route that politics is taking?
Yes.
Because it seems that people will say anything, put anything out in order to get
That's feeding
some sort of
into the poison of it all. You have to, what is it? Was it Gandhi that said you have to be the change you want to see in the world? That's where you have to take the higher road. As it slips away is the reason more of us have to light up and try to bring back what was originally part of this conversation when it came to politics.
Well, I think it started in 2016 during the presidential campaign. People realized, my goodness, you could call Mexicans rapists and murderers. You could say, you know, all these outrageous, uncivilized, ugly things and still be elected president of the United States.
Make fun of Gold Star family.
That's where it
grab
started.
them by the genitalia.
I believe that's where it started.
The mantra. I mean,
and it became the model.
You know what? It's embedded in our minds now, though.
Yeah.
You'll never get rid of those words.
I still think people, I mean, even today, I still think people are decent and good and want the best for our country. I don't pretend, I'm not a psychologist, thank you, but I don't understand the psychology behind it because obviously I'm deeply
Some people
offended
hear
by so
Yanni,
many
some
things.
people hear Laura.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Divided nation.
But can I say one thing? Really, like everybody, like I said, and I'm not trying to make this so much about me, but I do think it's worth noting that this show, I don't agree with any ladies on basically anything. And the support and kindness, the support and kindness I get from you, Joy Behar, and the affection, and I have been so appreciative. But America can be like this.
It's not really true, Megan. You do agree with a lot of stuff we say.
I do.
And we agree with you.
I mean, it's not on the sort of but I believe in a different kind of way the government should be run than you. But there's a respect level here.
Yes. We can have civilized discourse.
Yes.
It is possible.
It is.
Doing it on
It is possible.
It's different.
It's been going.
Whenever we have a Republican on this show, tomorrow we have I believe we have a Republican coming on.
We've had
we
lots
always
of-
have
yeah.
a respectful conversation.
Because the bottom line is, if we're not all the same. We don't all think the same, but we're much closer in what we want for the country than most people think. And particularly with this show, people tend to say, well, you know, those women, you know, we are a really interesting mix of what's out in the country. Right. You know, some people are not, no one's all black and white. No one's all gray. It's a mix.
All black or white either.
No. No. And speaking of which, we got some interesting stuff to talk to you about when we come back.
Thursday on ABC.
Welcome back. That's what just happened in the break. We met a Vietnam vet, and we were talking to him, and he said that he had not gotten a parade. And so we gave him one. We gave him a parade. Because, you know, the truth of the matter is many of us may have been wrong about how we treated the vets who went and fought in Vietnam. We may not have been wrong about the war, but we may have been wrong in the way we treated our returning vets. And so, I just want to say that when you come across a Vietnam vet, thank them.
Yes.
Thank them. His name, yes. And he has one of the all-time great names ever.
So good.
His name is Stonewall Towery. That's right. Yes.
I think it's so great that you mentioned that. Hey, I'm crying. My uncle is a Vietnam vet, and he often says the same thing. He feels that when he got home after his service, and he's been very, very sick lately with cancer and other things that I think may have been a result of his service in Vietnam. And he says he just never feels that he got the proper
Well, I think because,
respect.
again, this was a war that divided the country.
Yeah.
A lot of young people felt that they were being offered up as fodder. Okay? And so they were out marching and protesting, and we were out marching and protesting. But I think what we've learned, because I think sometimes people forget that sometimes the people you're protesting against are you. They are you. And so I think in hindsight, we look and we say, you know what, we should have done better by our vets who came back. Because they didn't get the support that they should have gotten when they came back, and it really damaged a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't know if we can fix that, but I can at least acknowledge it. I can't speak for anybody else, but I can acknowledge that I see a different thing now. I see a different thing with these kids. They were kids.
Yeah.
You know?
But it was a terrible time in the country.
It was a terrible
There were
time in the country.
assassinations going on at that time.
Yes, but it didn't. But we as young people should have recognized that those were young people also fighting.
Yes.
And some had, you know, they.
We got rid of Johnson.
Well, and to survive over there, I think they have to believe in their mission. So many families speak to when people talk about a war so conveniently in conversation while their sons and daughters are out there fighting.
Yeah.
I think you always have to believe in the people you send over there because they're paying the biggest price.
But remember, like I just said, we got rid of Lyndon Johnson and we got rid of Richard Nixon. Resist, resist, resist. I always say that's what's going to save this country.
Yeah, but I don't want it to taint the fact that we were remiss.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were remiss.
Well, Steve went. I'm
You
just
know?
going to put that out.
Yes.
My
Yes.
father as well as a
Yes.
veteran.
Yes.
Your father, my uncle, your
Okay.
husband.
Got it.
So this is what I'm getting right now. So this is like wrap it up. That's what he's getting. Yeah, here's over. Yeah, there you go. We'll be right back. So, you know, one of the latest chapters in the trend of white folks calling cops on black people for like really dubious reasons is it's like the lady who called the cops on the black family barbecuing in an Oakland park. And yeah, take a look.
What's going on?
Now she don't want to talk.
She doesn't want to talk now.
It's illegal to have a charcoal grill in the park here.
What kind of grill are you not allowed, and why are you so bent out of shape over them being
Because
here?
it causes extra money from our city to do things when children get injured because of improperly disposed of.
So there are some really funny things that came out of this growing backlash against this kind of behavior. And the memes that it's been generating. So here are a couple of my favorites. She's worried about Martin Luther King. Here she's reporting Rosa Parks.
She's on the bus. She needs to get off the bus.
With Obama. Hello, officer. It's me, Susan. There's a black man in the White House. This cannot be right. I don't feel safe. And hello, officer. It's me, Susan. There's an obscene number of colored screaming something about Wakanda being forever. They're being led by someone called the Black Panther. I don't feel safe.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I love that she's the self-appointed barbecue police.
She's the barbecue police. I just, you know, it's been happening so often that people are being, the police are being called on people for napping while at Yale and barbecuing and shopping for the prom, community service on the highway.
Walking out of an Airbnb.
They're walking out of an Airbnb, you know, looking at real estate. This just tickled me so much because sometimes the best medicine is just a good laugh.
You have to.
You know?
That is true.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's okay. And, you know, just so you know, all you guys out there that like to call me the racist, they always think I'm a racist when
I get it too.
do this.
Can't be a racist.
They don't know anything about my background,
They
honey.
don't know what racism means.
No, they don't, but I do.
Yeah.
And what's brilliant is that there are a lot of people and also a lot of police officers saying, you know what? This does not make sense to me.
Yes.
Back up off of us.
Which is great.
And a lot of people saying, you know, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. So it's trending in a better way.
Yes.
And if you feel uncomfortable, you know, you can always say, why are you asleep over here? And the girl can say, because I've been studying for the last 92 hours and I fell out.
Civility.
Yeah. Civility. We'll be back.
I also got into
Next, a boy struggling through severe health issues,
He was having 100 seizures a day.
is getting a surprise hero's welcome from one of the biggest superstars on the planet, who's coming to The View for the very first time. Oh yeah, this table has heard it all. Because this is the place where people come to voice their view.
That's what The View does.
But this May, even we can't believe who's about to hit this table. Snoop Dogg, Alan Cumming, Alyssa Milano, Erica Jane, Michelle Wolf, and watch what happens with Andy Cohen.
You're welcome for that.
Plus, if you're looking for the hottest political exclusives, look no further than The View.
It's unbelievable.
Serving up views.
It's on ABC.
All right, 2 years ago, the Thompson family learned that life can completely change in an instant. And that's when you truly realize how strong people can be. Here's their story.
Oh my goodness. Bryson was a happy, healthy 4-year-old little boy, and he would run around and jump and play and do everything that the other kids were doing. Brock and Bryson were playing in the backyard, and I was making dinner in the kitchen, and Brock came running in and said Bryson fell and he's not getting up. And so I ran around the counter, and I could see that Bryson was face down and wasn't moving, and I had thought that at that point we had already lost him. And he had a 15-minute long seizure.
My phone starts buzzing, and it was Sarah telling me that he had this huge seizure, and she'd called 911. Everything on me is tears coming out, mouth shaking. The only thing that I could do was to call my mom. I asked her to pray for him because I thought that was it.
My name is Bryson, and I'm 6 years old, and I have epilepsy.
Epilepsy is a break in the neurons in your brain. And so when they don't communicate fully with each other, that's when a seizure happens. From a mom's point of view, when you're seeing your baby having a seizure where their body is just tense and jerking and shaking and their eyes are rolling back in their head, it's just the most horrific thing that you can imagine. He was having 100 seizures a day, and they were just back to back. He would come out in between them, and he would smile and he would try to talk to me, and then he would go right back into it. These seizures can take him from you. They can kill him. Okay, get your helmet on and brush your teeth, okay? Okay. The function of the helmet is protecting his head as much as it can. He has fallen in the bathroom and he's hit his eye on a wooden stool that we had in there, and he had just the worst black eye.
You're always on guard, and you feel like you let him down if you're not there to catch him.
Go get in the car. Come on, Brock. His daily activities with the epilepsy are a little bit shorter, so he has to leave at noon because he still needs to come home and take a nap, because if he doesn't take that nap, his seizures increase astronomically.
He's a fighter, a guy who's going to take it in stride no matter what comes his way.
He's an amazing little human that you can't imagine how he's getting through all of this.
Yeah, you can be the greatest, you can be the best, you can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You can beat the world, you can beat the war, you can talk to God, go banging on his door.
I tell him, don't ever give up. You always fight, set your dreams high, and go. Most importantly, I love him and always will.
This epilepsy does not have control over him. I mean, I dare anybody to tell him that he can't do anything, because that kid is going to do it.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then he'll have the two of us right behind him.
So please welcome Sarah and Aristotle Thompson with 2 of their 4 children, Bryson and Brock. What's up, y'all? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks
for having us.
So I heard that on the way out, a seizure happened Tell us.
It did. We were on the plane on the way out here, and he was sleeping next to the window, and Brock was in between the two of us. And I just saw his arms start going. He had a full grand mal, and so the arms started going up. And I threw my laptop onto Aristotle across the aisle and jumped over Brock and just grabbed him and held him, and he went into his post-ictal phase pretty quickly, and which is just at that point falling back to sleep. And he just went back to sleep, thankfully, and I held him for a long time.
Well, we're glad you made it through, my dear.
I know last year after medications weren't working, Bryson had a surgery that's like a pacemaker for his brain. Am I describing that right?
Yeah, you're describing it right. It's basically a little box put just underneath his skin that it has a wire that wraps around his vagus nerve, and it talks to his brain. So if his heart rate reaches a certain level, the device will trigger and hopefully slow it down, slow the seizure from happening. And when it doesn't stop it, we have this magnet here that will activate the device. So if he's having a seizure, like the one he had on the plane yesterday, we always have these on us. We'll swipe it across his chest, and it will stop the seizures.
Bryson, what do all of your friends think about your helmet?
They think it's cool because it protects my head from having seizures.
Yes.
Sarah, I know going through this can take a toll on a family, financially, emotionally. How have you all been getting through this?
Everybody asks us that, and first and foremost, we get through it with his strength. I mean, we just look at him and you see his strength and do that. And then the wonderful foundation, Jack's Helping Hand, that makes things so easy in a world that can make things so difficult with insurance. And they're a foundation close to us that anytime we need something, whether it's a Fitbit watch to help monitor his heart rate while he's sleeping, or money for gas and food to get to doctor's appointments that are far away, they just make it so simple and so easy, and they're so caring about it, and it's really great.
Well, your boys wanted to give something back to Jack's Helping Hand. So tell us about the event they're having in a few weeks.
The event is, the boys started something where they're collecting helmets from professional athletes and different signed memorabilia from people, and they'll be auctioned off to help kids with Jack's Helping Hand in the area.
Yeah. And Brock, it was your idea to have this event. Why?
Because Jack's Helping Hand bought Bryson's helmet, and we decided to give back by asking NFL players to sign a helmet and then send it to us, and we will give it to Jack's Helping Hand. And the reason we're doing it is to be kind back to Jack's Helping Hand.
Well done. Well done.
Now, both of you guys reached out to the NFL and the NBA in the hopes of getting signed memorabilia. You received items from, I'm going to list off some here, Tom Brady, Odell Beckham Jr., Russell Wilson, Joe Namath. That's just to name a few. Well, we wanted to help you guys out a little, so we called a couple of our friends. In the world, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Rob Gronkowski, Damian Lillard, J.J. Watt, the Houston Rockets, James Harden, and the entire Golden State Warriors basketball team.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I just want to say, wait a minute, because I'm looking over here, and I think you're missing an item for one of my good friends. Hold on, let me give him a call.
Hello?
Hello? Is this you, Kay?
Hey.
Listen.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. You know, I have a request for you. You think if I sent you something, you could maybe sign it for me?
I could do something better than that. I could actually come out and sign it right now, actually.
For you. And I also have a jersey for you guys for the auction.
Thank you.
This is for you.
Thank you, man. Very welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, sweetheart.
Can you say hi?
How you doing?
Can you say hi?
It's a pleasure to meet
Can
you,
you say
sweetie.
hi?
Hi, give me 5.
Hi, give him a 5.
So,
all right. That's what I'm talking about.
So here. All right. So.
Who was that?
I have to say, Kobe does a lot of amazing things, but we called you and you came. Why?
Well, yeah, I think we all have, it's a belief that we all have a responsibility to each other to help one another. I mean, it's the fundamental belief. If you have the opportunity to do that, it is our responsibility as people to help one another. And that's it. It's as simple as that.
I know you guys are working so hard for this event and you're really emotional. Do you guys have something you want to say to Kobe?
Thank you. Thank you for the jerseys.
Very welcome. Very, very welcome.
So, our thanks to the Thompson family and to, of course, Kobe Bryant. Make sure you check out Kobe's new basketball analysis show, detail on the new ESPN Plus, and we will be right back.
Tomorrow, Fox News host Brett Baer on whether he's on the right side of President Trump's war on the media.
Hey, so one more meme came up, and it's here. And it says, hello, 911. Yes, they're singing incorrect lyrics to Patty Cake in a public space. Yes, I'll hold. And the way I think this is the way to go. Let's just keep it coming, the fun. Let's keep the fun coming, and maybe we can make stuff happen. Thank you for watching this show. Thank you for coming to this show. We want everybody to have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy the view and respect the folks you meet.
Yeah.